Good morning, students. In today's class, we are going to see Module 4 under Smart Grid, where we are going to focus on the topic renewable energy resources and the storage system what used. Under renewable energy resources, we have different types of resources like solar, wind, biomass, geothermal, hydro. The first renewable energy resources what we are going to see is the solar energy. We'll cover the topic under solar energy, how the solar energy is going to convert it into electrical power. That will be discussed in this particular session. We have different types of renewable energy resources like solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, biomass. The most two important resources that are used for generating the power is solar and wind. Solar and wind are the two primary resources that is integrated along with the conventional source for the development of electric power, and the same has been integrated onto the grid system. Most of the smart grid will have the solar energy and wind energy as a primary resource for developing the power and supplying the same to the customer. We can use any type of renewable energy resources available at this particular slide, but the most important resources are going to be solar and wind. When you consider the Dubai electrical grid, they are generating the power and supplying it to all the customers like industrial customer, commercial customer, residential customer, multi storage buildings, to every part of the customer. Only the solar energy is supplying power to all of them, not the electric grid. Whereas in India or in any other country, they are supplying power, but the integration of solar energy along with the conventional system together supplies power to the load. Whereas in case of Dua electricity grid, they are supplying power only by means of the solar energy. They have exclusively a solar sea for generating the power and supplying power to throughout the Dubai. The amount of power what they are generating it from the solar is 1800 megawatt of power. Only from the solar they are generating, and they are supplying it to all the customers. So among these different renewable energy resources, the primary resource solar energy, will see how far the energy can be generated and what is the amount of energy that is coming out from the solar. All these things will be discussed in detail. First one, photovoltaic conversion system. We can say the power uh, coming from the solar is converted into DC, and we can say it is going to be the power conversion system, because from solar the power whatever we are obtaining it is DC, and the same will be connected to your DC grid and the battery. Then from here we will be connecting one inversion system. The inversion system is responsible for converting DC to AC. Once the DC power is converted to AC, it can be supplied to the load. But what is the amount of power that we are drawing it from the solar? We have to see. The basics of the solar energy we have to see. Solar energy is nothing but the radiant energy emitted by the sun. And the from sun, not only the radiant energy is emitted, some amount of radiations like UV radiation, infrared radiation, and visible light are emitted from the sun. The whatever energy that is emitted from the sun, it is not directly absorbed by the land or water or ocean or any other surface. Part of the radiation is absorbed by the earth's surface, and part of them is getting reflected back to the atmosphere, or reflected back by the clouds. And when it is going to hit the cloud, again part of the wave will get reflected back to the atmosphere. Like this it happened, reflection and absorption, it happens in case of your solar energy when it is striking the atmosphere. The sun can produce 10,000 times more energy than what we consume. So whatever we are consuming, it is only 1% of the power that is emitted from the sun. but the sun is so powerful and it can develop the energy which is 10,000 times larger than that of the power what we are consuming. Thus, Earth is capable of producing 174 petawatts. 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt. It is not in terms of megawatt, it is petawatt. Petawatt is nothing but it is 10 to the power of 15. So, from sun, it is possible for us to take a power of 174 petawatt because the Earth is capable of receiving a power of 174 petawatts of solar radiation from the sun. And also the total energy absorbed by the atmosphere, ocean, land mass is 38 lakh 50,000 exajoules. Exajoules means 10 to the power of 18 joules per year. So per year if we could obtain an energy of 38 lakhs 50,000 exajoules, we can say like per month it is possible for us to develop the amount of energy that is required for the customer. Therefore, here when you consider the energy reaching the Earth's surface, part of your energy is from UV radiation, IR radiation, and visible light. 8% UV radiation, 46% infrared radiation, and 46% visible light. So, the energy reaching the Earth's atmosphere will have UV, IR, and visible light. Now, we will see how exactly the power is getting absorbed and reflected back to the atmosphere or reflected by the clouds. We can see it as an example. This is the diagram shown. So from Earth's surface it is possible for us to obtain 174 petawatt of power. Out of this 174 petawatt of power, 89 petawatts of power is absorbed by only lands and ocean. So if you consider over here, more than 80 percentage of the power, more than 70 percentage of the power is getting absorbed by land and ocean. So when we are having land and ocean in large sense, then it is possible to make a solar sea where we can generate an enormous amount of power and it could be transmitted by HVDC system. If we are generating the power more than 1000 per megawatt or more than 1800 megawatt as like in Dubai, then we need to transmit it by means of HVDC system. HVDC is nothing but high voltage DC transmission system. Looking at this diagram, you can see certain amount of power is getting reflected by the atmosphere, reflected back to the atmosphere, that is absorbed by the atmosphere. Some amount of rays, conduction and rising air, latent heat in water vapor, 26 percentage of the power radiation absorbed by atmosphere, 10 percentage from radiation absorbed, radiation from earth to surface, radiated 111 percentage it is from radiated to space from atmosphere, and again 7 petawatts reflected by the earth's surface. So like this, the 174 petawatts of power is distributed, like it has been absorbed by land and oceans, absorbed, reflected back to the atmosphere, and reflected by the clouds. This is the diagram showing the power absorbed, reflection by the clouds, atmosphere, and land and ocean. When you take the solar energy, when you are going to model the solar energy, you will be modeling it with respect to your insolation. Insolation is represented by the letter called C, where this will give the in terms of watts per meter square. So the insolation means if the temperature is high, it is not that we can generate an enormous amount of power. The intensity of the light has to be more to generate an enormous amount of power. So temperature as well as the intensity is important. And what is the amount of radiation that is falling onto the solar panel per meter square is important to model the solar energy for the generation of your electrical power. Here we are going to utilize the availability of the solar energy conversion to electricity, that is operating by the temperature of your PV cells. When you are having a solar panel, the solar panel comprises of many cells. So inside this you have many cells. The cells is nothing but it is going to be your PN junction, and this PN junction is made up of amorphous silicon or polycrystalline silicon. Either you can make it like a amorphous silicon or non-amorphous silicon. So when you are making it by means of your amorphous silicon or polycrystalline silicon, it is capable of absorbing the photons. Sun rays is nothing but it is a photon absorbing the photons, and which in turn it emits electron and it causes the current to flow through the circuit. So depending upon the insolation, temperature and the intensity of the light occurring from the sun, it is possible for us to generate the power, or the cell in the solar panel is capable of absorbing the power, and with a certain operating temperature, intensity of the light and position, so that you can occur a maximum power, so that we can uh, extract a maximum power. It is not only with the, suppose if the intensity is low, suppose if the temperature is also low, then also by using a maximum power point tracking, it we can extract a maximum amount of power. Maximum power point tracking, in addition with the integration of your computational tools like ant colony algorithm or particle swarm optimization or firefly algorithm or dragonfly algorithm or honeybee algorithm. So any of these methods can be incorporated in the algorithm that is written for the maximum power point tracking, so that we can track an enormous amount of power from the sun, even when the sun rays is getting fluctuating, or even when the operating temperature is getting varied from time to time. Therefore maximum power point tracking is essential if we wanted to maximize the power perpendicular to your incident rays. Emission, what is the amount of power that is emitted from the sun, is also important, and also it is going to be an environmentally friendly one. Suppose if I wanted to improve the efficiency of the complete system, I have to choose a proper material for the manufacturing of the solar panel. Usually the material used for the manufacturing of the solar panel include amorphous silicon, polycrystalline silicon, cadmium telluride, microcrystalline silicon and copper indanium. So these are all some of the materials that are used for the manufacturing of your PV cell, so that the efficiency of the system can be improved. Solar power technology. In this, in earlier days before the MPPT has been incorporated, we used a concentrator, that is we used a solar collector to collect the sun rays and to generate the power. One such example is we can use a small beam using lens, mirrors and other tracking system. Usually a parabolic trough collector, a solar concentric collector or non-concentric collector is used along with the solar power towers to track your maximum power, and the solar power technology use this type of collector for collecting maximum amount of power. And also cost implication is one of the major impact when we are going to design any system by installing the solar. Manufacturers will continue to reduce the cost of installation as a new technology is developed for manufacturing material. When we are going to use, instead of silicon, when we are going to switch over to a nano composite material, then further the solar module will become flexible, and with less amount of material only it is possible for us to develop an enormous amount of cell. Therefore the cost of installation will depends upon the nature of the material, how the solar panel is getting developed. If you are going to manufacture the solar cell by means of different materials like nano composite material, then the cost is going to reduce further, where much of your work will be reduced when you are manufacturing the PV cells with the advanced technology or with the development of your superior material. The basic material what we are using at present is going to be a monocrystalline material, polycrystalline material, cast polycrystalline silicon and strings and ribbon. So as well as a amorphous silicon of thin film is also used along with the cadmium indium diselenide and cadmium telluride as a thin semiconductor film. These are all some of the materials where we can utilize it for the manufacturing of our solar PV system. Conversion, power conversion system is important. Usually we customer used to have single phase and three phase supply. From solar we will be getting only a DC voltage, As we are going to use the solar rays, as that is photons will be falling onto the solar panel. The photons falling onto the solar panel is varying in nature because it depends upon your atmospheric condition. When you are making this solar PV panel, uh, it is varying with respect to nature, right? So we have to maintain the potential constant across the switches. For that we are using a capacitor. If depending upon the power rating, it could either be a capacitor or it can be a battery. If I wanted to use a single power, if I wanted to develop a single phase AC power, then we need to use 4 switches. By making the switch to alternatively switching, it is possible for us to develop a AC power. During first half, your top switch and the bottom switch as shown over here, it is going to conduct to develop a power in one cycle. In other cycle, it is going to develop the power like it is going to conduct like in the other half it is going to conduct in the other side where it will produce a negative waveform. Therefore, the DC wave is converted to a AC voltage and the same has been utilized in the utility grid. Utility grid is nothing but your AC grid where the AC power supply, that is where the EB people have been interconnected along with the solar power output. Modeling of your PV system is important. When you are modeling, you have to focus on whether we are going to model it by means of your single diode model or double diode model. Usually a single diode model will be preferred. When you are going for the preference of your single diode model, you need to take care of the shunt resistance and series resistance that has been connected in your equivalent circuit. So the shunt and series resistance value should be in such a way that it should not take much of the drop. Why? Because the output whatever we are getting, it should be approximately equal to the input obtained. Here we need to identify the diode current, diode saturation current, ideality factor. Ideality factor is represented with AI, where the ideality factor will define how far the diode is best or how far the diode could carry the current without any damage. Once the system is modeled, you will get the maximum power. This maximum power depends upon the G. G is nothing but your global radiation. Each global radiation will have a reference radiation, that is G reference. PMP is nothing but the maximum power point reference value, and gamma is going to be the instant ray ideality factor. T is your temperature and T reference is going to be your reference temperature. Using this formula, we have to model the PV system for the diode current, diode saturation current, ideality factor, maximum power, series resistance, shunt resistance, and what is the amount of voltage that is going to be generated at the output. Next, we'll see the PV model. PV model, when you are considering the solar cell, each solar panel will have n number of cells. Each cell can either be connected in series or it can be connected in parallel depending upon the voltage or current requirement. Suppose if I wanted to operate it on a high value of current, then we need to connect all the cells in parallel. If I want to obtain it for the larger amount of voltage, then we can connect it in series. Depending upon the series parallel connection and connecting it appropriately in the system, it is possible for us to obtain a right value of voltage and current. That is the solar panel module 1, module 2, module 3. Each module has n number of cells. Each cell can be connected either in series or in parallel according to the requirement. Depending upon the requirement of the output voltage or output power, each module of the solar panel can be connected either in series or in parallel. When all the modules are connected together, depending upon the connection series or parallel, we are going to frame a PV array, that is usually a building moment, and the output of the panel is going to be a DC. When this DC is connected to the battery and again it is connected to the inversion system for converting the DC supply to AC supply. Once the AC is connected, it is connected to the AC grid where we are going to utilize it for other electrical appliances. Here the connection towards the cell, it is shown for series and parallel. Here the connection is shown in the series manner if I wanted to use it for the high voltage. Certain application of the solar panels are going to be solar power plant, household applications, street lights, satellites, solar water pumping, battery charging, solar automobiles, and these are all some of the diagram figure represents the solar application. This one, it is going to be the smart grid, that is solar power plant installed on sites. It is for aeronautics and it is the application shown for the houses. The next class will see how we are going to generate the power by means of wind energy conversion system. Thank you, students.